Welcome. I am going backpacking in the Grand Canyon. I know that for sure, but I have no idea where to go backpacking. So let's take a look and see what some of my options are. Today we're talking itinerary. So we'll get an idea of where to camp in the backcountry and where to hike in the Grand Canyon. Let's start by defining my objectives. Number 1, I want to hike all the way down to the river from the rim. This means hiking down and back up. Number 2, I have 5 days available for backpacking, so I'm going to use them all. That means I need an itinerary for 4 nights, 5 days. So to get started, let's look at the map. Looking at this trail map is overwhelming. I see lots of trails. I don't see distances, and even if I did, I don't know how far I can hike a particular distance in a day in the canyon, or where on the trail can I even camp? Also, where are the best views? Okay, let's take a step back. A good place to start is learning what are the most popular routes and places to camp in the canyon. There must be a reason they are the most popular. I'm going to cover the 3 most popular in this video, but you can use these same resources to see more backcountry itinerary options if you're planning your own trip. Let's do a quick search online for backpacking the Grand Canyon. One of the first search results is the National Park Service government website. They have a lot of useful information on backcountry hiking at the Grand Canyon. Today, I'm interested in where to camp, so I'm going to select trails, use areas. There is great information here, but how does this help me decide where to go? There's the link to that unhelpful map. We're going to skip that one. So if you scroll all the way to the very bottom, you will find this hidden gem. Backcountry use statistics. I know, it doesn't sound very useful, but just wait and see. On page 10, I found this heavenly chart. Okay, I know it looks like gibberish, but once we decipher it, it will feel like we struck gold. See, instead of reinventing the wheel, this table shows us the most common backcountry itineraries, and they're in order, starting with the most common at the top. So coming in at number 1 with 843 permits in 2020 is 1 night at CBG. So what is CBG? CBG is Bright Angel Campground. And if we look at the rest of the itineraries on this page, Bright Angel Campground appears multiple times. So this appears to be the most popular campground in the backcountry. So where is it? Let's see if we can find it on a map. So we're going to go to backcountry hiking and trail and use area on the website. And we're going to scroll down to backcountry hiking brochure. And on this brochure is this really useful map. It labels things and it shows distances. So we can see down here at the bottom is the South Rim, and just above it is the Bright Angel Trailhead. So we're going to follow the Bright Angel Trail down into the canyon, and it goes across the Colorado River, and just across the river is Bright Angel Campground right here. Let's recall our objectives. Objective number 1 is hiking from rim to river. Well, the Bright Angel Campground is right by the river, so check. Objective number 2 is 4 nights in the canyon, and as we're about to see, also check. Let's go back to the table listing the most common backpacking itineraries. In the first column, we can see 2 itineraries with 4 nights, listing Bright Angel in at least one of those nights. What are these other places on the itinerary? With this first itinerary, we've got CCG for 2 nights, and we've got CIG for the last night. So what are these? If we go down to the codes, we see CCG is Cottonwood Campground, and CIG is Indian Garden Campground. And if we look at the whole table again, CIG appears right away in the first several itineraries, and CCG appears in a bunch of the itineraries. So looks like we've identified the 3 most popular places to camp in the backcountry: Bright Angel Campground, Indian Garden Campground, and Cottonwood Campground. Where are these campgrounds located? Well, here's our map again with the south rim down here at the bottom for reference. Following Bright Angel Trail, we find the Indian Gardens Campgrounds here along the trail, and Bright Angel Campgrounds is here by the Colorado River. And if we follow the North Kaibab Trail north, so here's the North Kaibab Trail, we're going to follow it north, we're going to find Cottonwood Campground here. So these backcountry campgrounds are in an area known as the Corridor. And the Corridor Trail System is one of the most popular and heavily visited backcountry destinations in the Grand Canyon. And this area is highly recommended for hikers who have no previous backcountry experience in the Grand Canyon. So here is another useful map that you can find on that same brochure as that last map we were looking at. For reference, the north rim is on the left side and the south rim is to the right. We can see Bright Angel Campground down here at the bottom near the Colorado River. And Indian Garden Campground is located here on the south side. And Cottonwood Campgrounds is located here on the north side. To get to these campgrounds, there are 3 main trails, and you can see them labeled here on the map. On the south rim, we have Bright Angel Trail, which will get you to Indian Gardens, which is about 4.9 miles. And it'll also get you to Bright Angel Campgrounds, which is about 9.5 miles. And South Kaibab Trail, which will get you to Bright Angel Campground, which is about 7 miles. On the north rim, we have North Kaibab, which will get you to Cottonwood Campground, which is about 6.5 miles from the rim, and eventually down to the Bright Angel Campground, which is an additional 7.2 miles, or about 13.7 miles all the way from the rim, the north rim, to the Bright Angel campgrounds. The Grand Canyon National Park Service website, backcountry section, offers trail descriptions for most of the common trails. And these descriptions offer useful information such as distances, trailhead access, drinking water options, toilet availability, and camping details. In general, the pros to hiking and camping in the corridor is usually some sort of access to purified water stations, paved roads to the trailheads, there's shuttles to the trailheads, there's a few toilets along the trails, in addition to little things like there are signs that label what trail you're on, there's emergency phones, and a ranger station. Are there any cons? Well, if you're trying to get away from people, the corridor is the most populated area in the backcountry. And if you're trying to get away from civilization and all those things I just listed in pros, then you might consider those items a con. For a newbie like me, the corridor trails and campgrounds might be the best place to start. Okay, let's look at these first couple 4-night itineraries and see what this might actually look like. Itinerary 1 has us spending night 1 at Bright Angel Campground. So we can take either the Bright Angel Trailhead, the approximately 9 miles there, or we can take the South Kaibab Trail, which is approximately 7 miles there. Day 2, we would hike North Kaibab 7.2 miles to the Cottonwood Campground, and we would stay there night 2 and night 3. So that probably means on day 3 we can do some general day hikes in the area. Day 4, we would hike about 12.2 miles to Indian Gardens, where we would spend the 4th night. And day 5, we would hike out that last approximately 4.5 miles. So in total, we would go about 33.4 miles over 5 days. Now let's look at the second itinerary. This 4-day itinerary is just a slight modification of the first itinerary. So night 1 is still Bright Angel Campground. Night 2 and night 3 are still at Cottonwood Campground, but instead of having to hike the 12.2 miles to Indian Garden for that 4th night, we only need to hike 7.2 miles to Bright Angel Campground for the 4th night. but that does mean our 5th day out of the canyon will be a longer hike. One thing I learned in researching this video is that Bright Angel Campground has more campsites than Indian Garden, so it may be easier to secure a night at Bright Angel Campground than Indian Garden. That leads me to a very important thing to note when planning a backpacking trip in the Grand Canyon. If you want to spend any time overnight in the backcountry, you have to get a backcountry permit, and these permits are limited. So when you're applying for the permit, you can put some flexibility into it, so you can indicate multiple dates and multiple places in which you want to stay. And so the more flexibility you can put on your application, the better the chance that you'll get a permit at all. So there are more options on where you can stay than what we just looked at on this video. And I have to say the National Park Service website has a lot of great resources, if you can take the time to find them. I found it a little bit frustrating going through their website to find the information, but once I found it, I have found it very useful. So I know I'll be spending the next several days examining all these common backcountry itineraries, especially the ones for about 4 nights. And I'm going to be looking at the maps to select out what my ideal path is and come up with some alternatives. But for today, I have definitely found 2 options that meet my objectives. So I think we're off to a great start. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all the best.